Hi guys, Dogo here with a new video, and this video will be my top 5 classes to play in 11.0.5, the mid-season patch for the War Within, and we're going to talk about the strength and weaknesses of these classes, why you should pick them up, and just in general, are you going to be feeling okay with picking those classes? So I'm going to give you a few examples on why you should do that. First and foremost, it's not only about the meta, it's not only about the flavor of the month, but it has also to do with their place and how they're seen by Blizzard. Are they going to get most likely buffed, or most likely nerfed, or destroyed? And just in general, how does it feel to play daily with these classes? As you may know, I'm a multi-classer, so I change classes and specs as much as I change my underwear, so pretty much every day. And pretty much it is interesting how Blizzard makes every single class very interesting. But I'm going to start with Monk, and I recommend Monk for both Windwalker and Mistweaver. If you're playing in PvP, you know that Mistweavers are like the up and coming healer right now. In my opinion, they kind of are now top 3 at their like role. I think they are a very good healer in, like, I think it's the best healer in solo queue RPG pretty much. Best healer in RPG. Best healer, I think, offensively with a caster. In my opinion, I really like Mistweaver with 2 casters. But also in Soul Shuffle, like, it's top 3, very reliable. You can play multiple builds. You can play Mistweaver, you can play Caster Mistweaver, you can play the Crackling Jade build, you can play the Rushing Wind kick build, which is also healing for a lot. You have multiple builds. I'm playing Mistweaver right now. I'm very much enjoying it, and I think the strength of it is that a lot of the healing feels like not really great to play against. I think it's a very frustrating heal to play against. Life Cocoon is on a very short CD. Revival or Restore, one or the other, is actually like a very good CD in general, but also very good in RPGs. But also in Soul Shuffle, I think you can really save the game by using it correctly. And I feel like the healing itself, the throughput, is very high. The weaknesses of Mistweaver is, in my opinion, the mana regen. I think in long matches you might want to drink if you're playing in 3v3. In Soul Shuffle you have to do Mana Thief, which to be fair, it's a great ability which restores a lot of mana and will make you not go overall, like in the current state of the meta with Soul Shuffle. But you have to stop and drink with Mana Tea, and that little time that you're doing like your Mana Tea thing, you're not healing anything. So that's the one thing I would say is not really great. I think it's also not great that you are casting a lot of your healing, but I feel like with Thunder Focus Tea and Master of Harmony, which is the hero talent, I do feel like you have a lot of like time to be able to cast a lot without getting kicked. But I think, again, if they're smart, they're using their CC whenever you're going to pop your Thunder Focus Tea, so you can then get kicked afterwards. But again, I might do a video about it on the second channel, where my second channel is about healing, so you could always check that out whenever you are feeling up to. I think I'm going to post like 5 videos in one shot, so we have like a crowded channel about healing, and I'm going to try to build it up for that role. Windwalker. Why Windwalker? I think Windwalker is actually very surprisingly strong. I think people are sleeping on it. It's very sturdy, very tanky in general. Like, if you want to play a spec which is not really easy to focus, but also you're not easy to kill, I think Windwalker is quite great. Like, a lot of the frustrations I get whenever I'm playing DPS in Soul Shuffle is actually getting targeted and feeling like you're paper. Again, I think Windwalker is like the opposite of paper. I think it's really like what a warrior should be, like very tanky, very annoying to kill. But Windwalker has that. They have a TP, they can also get away whenever they feel like you're about to die. You have a lot of like those annoying things, like for example the knock that you get, like it's literally interrupt. You can have a leg sweep, you can have a paralysis, which you can use it as an interrupt as well, because the duration is not that big, so you could use it as an interrupt. And in general, your Fist of Fury is very annoying to deal with if you're a melee. That's how I deal, and that's how I feel versus a Windwalker. Personally, I play more Mistweaver than Windwalker, but the good thing is Mistweaver and Windwalker kind of use the same build, like stats. and they also both want only 2 set maximum. Sometimes not even playing 1 set, like not even like playing the 2 set at all. And I do feel like it's one of the good things that you can have on a class, being able to switch roles without having to switch your whole gear to make it up. For example, enhancement shaman with a restoration shaman is kind of like stupid because you have to have full mastery without any tier pieces as a restoration shaman, and as an enhancement shaman you need to have a lot of haste with a bit of mastery, and you want to have 4 sets. So yeah, that's for the monk part. Let's talk about enhancement shaman. That is my main. I really enjoy it. Currently in Soul Shuffle, I think the Ascendance being a 2-minute CD is great. That makes you actually like you have a great win condition, like for example Druids have with Cenarian Alignment, or second Incarn for Feral Druid. Second Ascendance kind of makes you win the game automatically. Now the only part where you have the problem is surviving till you have a second Ascendance. But I think with current builds and current stats and current balancing, Enhancement Shaman is in a great spot. I have been talking about Enhancement Shaman since the beginning of the War Within, where I feel like they were not up to par, they were like kind of gimmicky and they didn't really work in general. And since they changed it with their reworks and especially the Ascendance rework and Stormbringer being buffed or like reworked as well, Totemic being reworked and buffed as well, I do feel like all the playstyles kind of have a spot in the meta, and I do feel like right now Enhancement Shaman, I don't know if I want to call it meta, but I can say that it's a very strong spec. I don't think it's a god tier spec, but it is a very respectable spec where you can reliably climb. The only thing I will say is, as a weakness, is that you have a lot of keybinds. Now, you do have a lot of specs that can build where you can have less keybinds, but the truth is you will still have to use your totem, still have to use your displacement abilities, still have to use your CC, still have to use your shears, still have to use whatever is needed to survive and to deal damage at the same time, which a lot of specs won't have at all, like the things that you have to think about. Let's say a Fury Warrior, like keybinds wise, it's less intensive than a Enhancement Shaman, but that's also part of the fun. I don't want them to also make it like a 1-button machine. They could like maybe trim a bit, like for example Flame Shock should be maybe something you apply by using an attack or whatever. But in general, I think I'm very happy with the state of Enhancement Shaman. So it is for the first time in forever that I'm going to really recommend Enhancement Shaman. If you liked Enhancement Shaman before and you told yourself like, oh, it's out of meta, it's not going to be very fun, I think Enhancement Shaman is probably the best it was since Shadowlands, at least. Shadowlands, I think Season 2 was actually a great season for Enhancement Shaman, if I'm not mistaken. Or like the Chain Harvest season where you could like do the like 2 legendaries at the same time kind of thing. That was also very strong. But I think in the War Within, you actually have like a great win condition that you can go for, and even outside of those win condition, you can still do a lot of damage if your Doom wins, which is a 1-minute CD. So I'm very happy with current state of Enhancement Shaman. I don't think they need to buff it anymore. Maybe defensively they could buff it, but that's it. If they buff it even more, it will be nerfed to the ground after 2 patches, so I'm very happy with the state of Enhancement Shaman, and that's something you will not hear a lot of like from my mouth. Like I'm someone that can complain very easily whenever it's going very bad, and me praising Enhancement Shaman means that it is really open to everyone to play it. I don't think it's frustrating to play against, because you could stop Ascendance, you can like disarm it, you can stun it, you can fear it, but you're not only revolving around Ascendance, which is also a great thing. I could also recommend Elemental Shaman, but I think Elemental Shaman is in a spot where you don't know how it's going to be next week, because they're nerfing a lot of the mastery stuff. And I am playing Haste, so I will not feel that much of a change. But I cannot really know how it will land after the nerf, so that's why I'm not going to recommend it. But if anything, play Enhancement Shaman and play Elemental Shaman afterwards if you want to like change the pace or play like a like caster, for example. Now let's talk about another spec that I'm going to recommend, but also the overall class. I think Warlock is not a big surprise that is actually doing very well. If you're playing Affliction Warlock, you're going to suffer versus some of the specs, especially BM Hunter, but they are going to get nerfed. But Affliction Warlock is going to be doing quite great right now, because the damage is good. I think they're not going to get nerfed anymore, so that's the thing that you can build upon. You can play kind of do 2 builds, 3 builds, like you can play single UA, or you can play like triple UA, or you can play like more of a Hellcaller build, which is still something that people forget about, but it's still doing okay. Or you can play like the Soul Harvester, where it's still around like Shadow Bolts, which is fine. It's still a good thing to have as well. So that's a recommendation, but I would say the one thing I'm going to recommend the most would be Demonology Warlock. I think people are sleeping on it. Like, it's again a spec that is getting buffed every single week, every 2 weeks pretty much, and it's doing pretty well as well. It has a mess effect, which means that you can play 2s without feeling too bad about it. You can play 3s, which you can play with a caster, and then you have an MS effect, but you have a caster gump, which is something that an Affliction Warlock doesn't have, for example. And I think with the current buff that you will get, it will feel a lot less clunky to play, especially if you get like those like demon bolts, like the procs that you get to get like 3 demon bolts instant and doing a lot of damage. That is actually a good thing. So it will be more reliable, it will be played a bit more, and you will see a lot more Demonology Warlocks right now. So I do feel like it's a good recommendation if you want to play it. Again, the good thing is about Warlock, you have 3 specs, and I could also recommend Destruction Warlock. After the buffs, I think it could be in a good spot. I still think Incinerate is still kind of a like soft casting ability, which doesn't do too much damage, unfortunately, right now. But maybe with the buffs, which is a 20% buff, and maybe with your foresight, and maybe with the right build, you could do some okay damage. Now, the issue is, I still think Chaos Board, Shadow Burn, and I would say your Conflags are still like your only thing that is going to deal enough damage to warrant a kill. But I think with your Immolate and Incinerate buffs, you will feel a lot better like in those down moments. So it's a great class. I would recommend to everyone if you're like sick of Mage or sick of Elemental Shaman. I think Warlock is a great pickup just to play soul shuffles, 3v3, even 2v2, and you can also say RBGs. It's going to be quite good for that as well. Maybe not Demonology Warlock. I think pet classes are not that great except for defending, but I mean, it depends on the map, I will say, but in general, you're going to feel more at home if you're playing Affliction Warlock or Destruction Warlock in those game modes. So I have already 3 classes, and we have still 2 more. And it will be not a surprise that I will be recommending Arms Warrior. And you're going to say, but you're crazy, it is not meta, it feels sluggish to play right now. But with the buffs that you will get, and also the meta that will be like changing in general, and also that it is a reliable pickup at all times, I think Warrior is one of these classes that you can like pair up with anyone in 3s and still do okay. I think in Soul Shuffle it can be very frustrating. That's not going to be a lie. I think if you're playing like versus a Mage, a Warlock, I would say a BM Hunter, for example, in that lobby, you're not going to enjoy your time. But I think the meta is going to swap to a more melee focused meta very soon. I just feel like it just needs a nerf or 2 on the meta classes and a buff or 2 on the non-meta classes to change the whole meta, and that's how I feel. I think Arms Warrior right now is doing okay damage, but not great. Unfortunately, they still want to push you into the Bleeds build and Slayer build, and Colossus could be fine, but it's a bit clunky. And Fury Warrior has also quite a lot of damage, but it's kind of clunky on how it plays, because Raging Blow and Bloodthirst kind of have the same priority. It's very weird. Like, if you're playing Fury, you don't even know like what needs to be pressed more. Like, do you want to do more Bloodthirst or do you want to do more Raging Blows? Personally, I do a lot of Raging Blows and a lot of Executes, obviously, and a lot of like Rampages. Like, whenever I can do Rampage, I always do Rampage, and then your Blood Storm, like your Blade Storm, can do a lot of damage as well. But with the buffs towards Fury Warrior and the buffs towards Arms Warrior, I think the class in general is going to feel a lot better next week. this week actually, Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on your region. And I think it's going to be a great pickup if you are not playing it yet. The good thing is about melee is you can change specs quite fast, or like classes quite fast, and pick it up very fast compared to, let's say, changing into another caster. So it's a great thing. Again, warrior, great versatile class, and you might be frustrated sometimes in soul shuffle, but most of the time you're going to enjoy your time, depending on the lobby. Now the last class that I'm going to recommend, and that's a very tough recommendation to be fair, but I'm looking onwards, like inside the meta or outside of the meta, it would be Druid. And you're going to say, but Feral Druid is such... Yes, of course it is meta, of course it is a recommendation. Well, I'm actually recommending Balance Druid more than Feral Druid. I think Feral Druid is really dodging nerfs. Like, I don't know how they do it, but they do. But right now, Feral Druid is still very strong, so if you want to pick it up if you want to. But I reckon in 2 weeks, it's going to get nerfed to the ground. That's how I feel right now. And one class that I feel like it will not be nerfed into the ground would be Balance Druid. And you can play Balance Druid in 2 styles. I personally do that, and I know some people are praising haste builds like no other, and you're only playing without haste, but I'm playing with full mastery because I also intend to play a bit of restoration druid, because obviously my second channel will be about healing, so I need to be informed about every single healing style so I can do a lot of videos about it. And I do feel like Balance Druid is quite good as with full mastery. It does a lot of damage with Star Surge. It does actually insane amount of damage. The thing is that with haste you can actually spam Cyclone more reliably, but I would say sometimes you don't really want to spam too many Cyclones because you're already like full Astral power. You want to spend it every single time, and I feel like the Astral generation that you have as a Balance Druid is very high. Obviously haste will feel way better, that's the truth. If you want to play haste, that's probably the right choice to do as a Balance Druid. But if you are wanting to play Feral Druid, you're wanting to be playing a Restoration Druid, if you wanted to play also Balance Druid, I think a full mastery build is still a thing that you can do, and still a thing that you can reliably play without any hassle. And once you have like full conquest release, and you can actually like farm the conquest builds that you want, the conquest gear that you want for, let's say, a full haste build, then I would switch to full haste to see if it's better than Balance Druid full mastery. Personally, I quite like it. The strength about Balance Druid are that you have a lot of CC, like your Root Beam, your Cyclone. Those two are like one of the best CCs in the game, especially versus a few heals that just do not have anything to get out of those Root Beams, or they are getting affected by a lot whenever they're getting Root Beams. But I think right now the damage is very high from Druids. Like, Balance Druid is something that it got reworked again on the mid-season patch, and they get like another balancing patch this week with a lot of changes towards damage as well. And I would say that overall they are like a big winner for coming patch. I think it's going to be very interesting to see how it's going to pan out. And that's a spec, and also just a class. Druid is going to be a very good recommendation for a lot of people. Is it going to be a very hard class to play in main? Yeah, for sure. It's the same like kind of problems that Shaman has, which is a lot of keybinds, a lot of memorization. The playstyles are very different from other classes, but I think as a Balance Druid you can have a lot of enjoyment. I think also as a Restoration Druid they are going to get again buffed very soon, most likely, and they are doing better than before, and they are going to like scale up with the expansion. Season 2, Season 3, Resto Druid is for sure another beast than Season 1's, because again the gear and the stats are going to evolve, which is going to help a lot with the playstyle of Restoration Druids. And then Feral Druid is like the wild card, like is it going to get nerfed to the ground or is it not? That is something you have to decide, or Blizzard has to decide, and we have to observe and see how it's going to be. But those are the 5 classes I'm going to recommend. I could do some honorable mentions, but to be fair, honorable mention is every single class of the game right now, except DK probably. I think Rogues you can have a lot of fun with, Mage have a lot of fun with, Hunter you can have a lot of fun with, Priest as well, Paladin as well, Demon Hunters, Evokers, like all the classes in the game are going to give you like a special feel and a special like playstyle that you can climb and you can do well on. And I think fun should be pretty much like hand in hand with competition and how it goes well. You don't want to play only meta specs, and if you're not enjoying it, then kind of sucks. But you also don't want to play just only fun classes while you're getting beaten by everyone. Like for example, Frost Decay and Holy Decay. In Holy Decay, I would say with the many nerfs that they got, they're not really in a great spot right now. Especially with the meta and considering how like feral druids, BM hunters, warriors probably very soon. They're going to be very, very much prominent, and they're going to be in every single lobby. I think DKs are not doing that well right now. So I don't know what they can do, to be fair. Like, I think whenever they're overtuned, they're getting nerfed very quickly without like any compensation to actually adjust it back to normal levels whenever everyone is busted in their stead. But anyways, thank you for watching this video. Really appreciate you. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that yet. I'll be posting healing videos very soon on the second channel, so if you want to check that out, you can always check that out in the description as well. I'm like rebranding the second channel. I'm going to do like a full healing content channel, and I can like teach people how to heal and how to get into healing whenever you're a DPS main or whatever you are like a lifelong healing main. I could maybe help you to reach some goals. Pretty much I'm enjoying a lot, like at least 3 heals this season. Holy Paladin, Mistweaver, and I would even say Resto Druid. But Resto Druid, I need to like get better gear and better understanding on how I can play those builds. Anyways, thank you for watching. Have a great day. Bye.